Welcome to the Know Yourself channel. We're making astrology known and understandable as the number one priority. I'm the Scottish Astrologer, and in this video I'm going to go over the meaning of the phases or faces as they're otherwise known of the planets. Okay, now the phases consist of the 12 zodiac signs divided into 3 parts each, so that a phase consists of 10 degrees of a zodiac sign. So when I am saying the first phase, I'm referring to 0 to 10 degrees of a zodiac sign. When you hear me say the second phase, I'm referring to, from the 10th to the 20th degree of a zodiac sign. And when you hear me say the third phase, I'm referring to from the 20th degree to the 30th degree of a zodiac sign. Now they are called phases or faces because they represent the natures, inclinations and forms of the planets assigned to the particular phase. Now a planet's term divides a phase divides a zodiac sign, and a zodiac sign divides the whole zodiac. Okay guys, so let's begin. So naturally, we will begin with the first phase of Aries, which is attributed to the planet Mars, and is the phase of courage, strength, resolution, confidence, magnanimity, and fearlessness. Now, the second phase of Aries is attributed to the Sun, and this is the phase of generosity, candour, nobleness of the soul, and majesty, might and renown. Now the third phase of Aries is said to be attributed to Venus, and is the phase of sport and play, delicacy, self-indulgence and joy. Now moving on to Taurus. The first phase of Taurus is attributed to the planet Mercury, and is the phase of agriculture, mechanics, wit, logic, oratory and learning. Now the second phase of Taurus is attributed to the moon, and is a phase of unpredictability, power, ambition, obligation and authority. Now the third and final phase of Taurus is attributed to the planet Saturn, and is a phase of servitude, small time occupations, and if born into poverty, small occupation, if born into poverty, okay, as we must always remember circumstance must be taken into consideration when it comes to astrology. Okay, so always take circumstance into consideration. Rich, poor, everything, circumstances. Totally always needs to be looked at. Now, this is also the phase of oppression, cruelty and bondage, okay? Now the first phase of Gemini is attributed to Jupiter, and is the phase of writing, translation, numeracy, skills in sculpting. Now the second phase of Gemini is attributed to the planet Mars, and that is the phase of labour, perseverance and study, anxiety and grief also. Now the third phase of Gemini is attributed to the Sun, and is the phase of ill manners, contempt, boldness, indolence, disdain and forgetfulness. Moving on to Cancer. The first phase of Cancer is attributed to Venus, and is the phase of love, wit, cheerfulness, complacency and good understanding. Now the second phase of Cancer is attributed to Mercury, and that is the phase of fertility and fruitfulness, honour and wealth, preferment and success in business. Now the third and final phase of Cancer is attributed to the Moon, and is the phase of perseverance, strength, travelling, law and opposition. Now moving on, the first phase of Leo is attributed to Saturn, and is the phase of mischief, lust, cruelty, violence and rage. Moving on, the second phase of Leo is attributed to Jupiter, and that is the phase of battle, hostility, strife, contention, and disputes. Now the third and final phase of Leo is attributed to Mars and is the phase of friendship, esteem and togetherness. Now moving on to Virgo, the first phase of Virgo is attributed to the Sun, and that is a phase of improvement, property, wealth and industry as well. The second phase of Virgo is attributed to Venus and is a phase of being unwilling to spend money, what in Scotland we call tightness, being tight-fisted. Also meanness, ill gain and greed. Now the third phase of Virgo is attributed to Mercury, and that is a phase of weakness, infirmity, looking old before your time and suspension. Moving on to Libra, first phase of Libra is attributed to the Moon, and that is a phase of humanity, truth, justice, mercy and benevolence. Also openness to new things, being very liberal. Now the second phase of Libra is attributed to Saturn, and that is a phase of gain, advantage, labour, watchfulness, earning and subtlety. Now the third phase of Libra is attributed to Jupiter, and that is a phase of luxury, overindulgence in the sensual pleasures, licentiousness, drunkenness and lavishness. Moving on to Scorpio, the first phase of Scorpio is attributed to Mars, and that is a phase of strife, violence, contention and thievery. Now the second phase of Scorpio is attributed to the Sun. That is a phase of deceitfulness, injustice, envy, malice, discord and detraction. Now the third and final phase of Scorpio is attributed to Venus, and that is a phase of seduction, deceit, adultery, flattery and also lewdness. Moving on to Sagittarius, the first phase is attributed to Mercury, and that is a phase of openness, strength, festivity, valour, fearlessness, adventureness, liveliness and cheerfulness. Now the second phase of Sagittarius is attributed to the Moon, and that is a phase of suspension, the phase of mistrust, woe, sorrow and mental uneasiness. Now the third final phase of Sagittarius is attributed to Saturn, and that is a phase of mischief, cruelty, obstinacy, stubbornness and unwillfulness. Now the first phase of Capricorn is attributed to Jupiter, and that is a phase of honesty, hospitality, benevolence, high spirits, friendliness and sport. The second phase of Capricorn is attributed to Mars, and that is a phase of disappointment, lustfulness, inordinary desires, discontentedness and uncontrolled passions. The third and final phase of Capricorn is attributed to the Sun, and that is the phase of integrity, honour, wisdom, manliness and great understanding. Now the first phase of Aquarius is attributed to Venus, and that is a phase of need for gain, disappointment, misfortune, loss and laborious toil. Now the second phase is attributed to Mercury, and is the phase of complacency, mildness, gentleness, modesty, good nature and mercy. Now the third phase of Aquarius is attributed to the Moon and is the phase of envy, ingratitude, jealousy, dissatisfaction and discontent. Now finally, the first phase of Pisces is attributed to Saturn and is a phase of temperance, reputation, success in business and thoughtfulness. The second phase of Pisces is attributed to Jupiter and is the phase of self-conceit, pride, ambition, self-glory and also austerity. Now the third phase is attributed to Mars and is a phase of lewdness, lust, profligacy, strong sexual desires and excessive indulgence in sex, drugs or alcohol, or a combination of all. Now that was all the meanings of the phases of the planets. Now if you find a planet in its correct phase or face, as it's otherwise known, on a natal chart, and it is making an aspect to either the ascendant or the moon or the ruler of the ascendant or also the sun, the effects that I have previously just mentioned regarding the planets in their correct phase then come into fruition on some level, okay? And it will be at a most influential level if a planet in its correct phase makes aspects to two or more of the positions I just mentioned: the moon, ascendant, ruler of the zodiac sign occupying the ascendant, and or the sun. Okay, so you have a planet in phase on a natal chart and it's making an aspect to the ascendant, the sun, and the moon, for instance, then the particular effect I mentioned, we having a planet in phase, will be very prominent in the life and dominating the life and personality attributes, etc., of the native, of whoever's chart it is you're looking at. So take this into consideration when looking at a natal chart. Also, the phases or faces, as I keep saying, they're most commonly otherwise known, of the planets, is a really, really important part of the chart. And like, you have to know this, because if you don't know all the meanings of the planets in the correct phase, when looking at a natal chart, you'll never know if the planet's even in its phase. You'll never know the effects a planet in the phase has. I found certain people having planets in the correct phase with only, say, one aspect to the ascendant. Their personality can still, and lives can still be dominated by the certain effects and attributes of the planet in the phase. But more times than not, it's when there's loads of aspects coming from that planet in its phase to the planets I mentioned. Okay, so I hope you found this video interesting, guys. Please give it a like if you liked. Please share this video, and please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And also do not forget to hit the bell at the right hand side of the subscribe button. Now also, guys, you'll see a link on screen. Please check out the website www.knowyourself.guru. Check that out. I'm sure you'll find that also interesting. And please stay tuned, because there'll be another interesting video coming up very, very soon. So look out for that, guys.